as I was saying, hot tub self, journal self, sauna self will never actually leave that place until you actually start to make changes in your mundane, in your everyday. Deciding like, I'm going to do this thing even though I'm tired. I'm not going to believe just every thought that pops into my head when I want to do this, when I want to do that. This is how you rewire your brain.
You're listening to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. I'm your host, Jill Perrick, a business and mindset coach who specializes in imposter syndrome. If you feel like you're not as smart, capable, or worthy as you actually are, and that someone is going to find you out, then you've come to the right place. I went from being a struggling government worker, working my coaching business on the side, but feeling unworthy and burnt out, to making multiple six figures helping women overcome imposter syndrome so they too can sign clients, make bank, and have the business or career of their dreams. I am nothing special. I have a stuttering disability, ADHD, and I struggle with anxiety and depression. So if I can learn how to feel good enough and overcome my inner imposter, then so can you. Let's dig in.
Okay, you guys, I'm sitting here with both Hugo and Ruby on my lap, and that's honestly on me for picking a breed of dog that are very codependent. Chihuahuas are super codependent. Love them, but they have never heard of the term personal space. So they're both on my lap right now. I'm drinking my coffee. I just got home from my hot vinyasa class that I take on Fridays, and then I go and reward myself with a freshy salad because this class is so fucking hard and I'm always sweating like a goddamn pig inside of that studio, but I love it. And now I'm going to record an episode for you. And this was honestly prompted by my Shavasana. I was just laying there and I was thinking about something, and something came into my head where it was like, trust your hot tub self over your inner critic. And I was like, okay, let's roll with that. Because I was like, what do you mean hot tub self? Oh, as I'm recording this, I just got a payment from somebody for the Iconic Coach. So before I actually continue with this, the Iconic Coach is starting very, very soon. It starts next week, or it starts the week that you're actually listening to this. It starts on Thursday, June 12th. The Iconic Coach is where you are going to overcome imposter syndrome. You know the drill, but specifically around your coaching skills. If you are a coach and you struggle with a lot of imposter syndrome, so much so that it holds you back, it is probably because you are telling yourself, like, am I really that good? And something that we are seeing a lot in the online space is people talking to empowered buyers, which is amazing, right? Like, we definitely want to talk to the people that are a good fit for our work and that actually are going to put in the work. Okay, so we absolutely do want to speak to those people. But what we don't account for, and what actually happens for a lot of people, is they see stuff like, you know, you're so good at what you do, or you know that you're a great coach. And for a lot of people that struggle with imposter syndrome around their coaching skills, they think to themselves, but am I really that good? Because maybe they've had clients, but they don't have a lot of clients, and they think to themselves, is that because I'm actually not that good? Or they do have clients and their clients aren't getting like incredible ass results, right? Because we only see the highlight reel on social media. And they think to themselves, if I was better, would my clients be getting results? And it's just a slippery fucking slope when it comes to feeling like a fraud and really feeling like, am I actually good at what I do? But you actually are. It's just you're being bogged down, you're being weighed down by imposter syndrome. And I am going to help you feel like the Iconic Coach version of yourself, where you're not only going to overcome those feelings of, am I actually good at what I do, but you're also going to learn how to pinpoint the subconscious motivations of your clients. You're going to be able to coach them to a result. You're going to develop your own methodology. You're going to work on it if you already have one, and you're going to learn how to really create it from a sales psychology perspective where it actually gets your clients results. You are fucking proud of it. You're excited about it. And that means that you are excited to sell your offers, because a lot of the time when people are having a hard time selling their offer, it's not always because they can't get the fucking words right in terms of selling it. It's because they don't have belief in the offer. And belief in the offer is essentially just belief in yourself and that you can help clients get results. So the Iconic Coach is happening. It is 5:55 when you are listening to this, and you get 6 weeks with me, 6 trainings, and I'm going to be doing a coaching and Q&A call at the end of the program, and you will get the entire thing for life. So head to the link in my show notes. When you're listening to this, I think we've started, or we are starting tomorrow, because it starts on Thursday, June 12th. And I'm so excited to see you in there and help you become the best fucking coach on the internet, because you will realize how much easier it is to sell your offers when you actually believe in your skills and believe that you can actually create incredible results for your clients. And of course, if you are a client of mine, if you are inside the From Imposter to Empowered program, if you are a one-to-one coaching client, you get the Iconic Coach for free. So if you're also thinking about joining one of those containers and you're like, oh my God, the Iconic Coach sounds amazing, you get that for free if you are a coaching client. Okay. Let's get into the episode. So your hot tub self is derived from whenever me and my husband get into our hot tub, we have just like talks about life, and we talk about, should we or shouldn't we have kids? The age old question. And if we do have kids, we think about like our future with them. We think about future of our careers and the things that we want to do. We talk about trips that we want to take, right? And we all have a version of our hot tub selves, right? It's the version of you that you're journaling in the morning, you're scripting, and you're saying like, in 6 months, in a year, I am going to be doing XYZ. It's that version of you where things are quiet and you have time to just sit and reflect, and you get excited about all the possibilities that could come your way, and you are not inundated by imposter syndrome, by negative thoughts, by that inner critic in your ear. But what happens is we lose that part of ourselves in the mundane, in the everyday. We lose that part of ourselves when we're showing up online and we're comparing ourselves to everyone else we see. We lose that part of ourselves when we're tired and we're like, fuck, I have to upload Instagram stories and I'm fucking tired, and we start to spiral, right? We lose that part of ourselves when it's time to invest or make a decision in our business, and we start spiraling, thinking about the other decisions we made, the other investments we made, and how this didn't work out and how that didn't work out. And when it comes to thought work, and I do a lot of this work with my clients, because for me and for a lot of the clients that I work with, we have very overactive minds and a lot of thoughts are running through our head, and you actually have thousands of them a day, right? But for the filtered thoughts, for the thoughts that you become actually conscious of, there's a lot of people who I've coached whose inner critic is very loud. It's very loud. It's constantly telling them, hey, remember when you fucked this up? Remember when this didn't go your way? Things like you're not enough, you don't know what you're doing, imposter syndrome, self-worth, and that is why a lot of clients come to work with me. And it was so interesting because in a coaching call with one of my newer clients inside of the From Imposter to Empowered program, she was saying how like she has all this evidence that things have only gone well when it comes to her coaching sessions with her clients. But her imposter syndrome will come up afterwards in terms of like, but what if it doesn't go well? But what if somebody isn't happy with the coaching? And I very simply stated to her, I was like, you need to start believing the evidence. You need to start believing instead of just assuming like, no, you know what? Even though this is right in front of me, I'm choosing to think differently. I'm choosing to think that there is something to fear. I'm choosing to think that the imposter syndrome and what my own inner imposter is saying to me is true. But what do we know? We know that imposter syndrome is just a dysfunctional thinking pattern. It is a way that your subconscious and your nervous system are trying to keep you safe because it's trying to avoid pain. That is the ultimate thing when it comes to your subconscious mind, when it comes to your nervous system. We are just always trying to avoid the pain of something, and when we don't actually experience any physical pain, it becomes emotional pain. And there has been tons of research that suggests that emotional pain is actually more painful than physical pain, and people will avoid it to the max. And because there's so many things now that we can avoid emotional pain with, like food, like substance abuse, like scrolling, right? Watching TV, doing things that we can almost distract ourselves from feeling bad. But a lot of things that come with business and putting yourself out there and being visible and making the pitch and showing up to your client calls and being that highest level version of you, it requires you to go up against the possibility that you will feel emotional pain. And that can be rejection, that can be disappointment. You know, a lot of people don't launch or don't sell their offers, even though they say that they want to. And it's because subconsciously they're afraid to feel disappointed and they're afraid to be rejected. And that was the other part of how I was coaching my client in the From Imposter to Empowered program as well, is like, okay, and then what if a client is unhappy with your coaching? Like, what if they do have a comment about something you said? You're just afraid to feel bad, but the feeling bad isn't going to kill you. You're probably going to learn something from it, or you need to stand really firm in your own coaching abilities and to realize that not every part of a coaching relationship is always going to be smooth sailing, especially when your coaching requires you to call your clients forward, to change their identity, to change their thoughts, right? Our heads can be so stubborn. We can be so stuck in the identity that we've created for ourselves. I've gotten into it with lots of clients before because they're so stuck on how they see themselves. And they're so stuck on, but this is what I am doing. This is what I want. If we're, again, having the conversation around feeling uncomfortable, I've had to tell a lot of clients, like, this isn't because you don't want to do the action. You have to do the action because you're looking for this kind of result and you have to take this kind of action. But now you're saying you don't want to do it, but it's not because you don't want to do it. It's because you're afraid of how you're going to feel. Right? There is a lot of ego at play when it comes to coaching. There's a lot of, like, it's hard to look at yourself. It's even harder when someone else is holding up a mirror to the things that you're perpetuating and the things that you're doing and the actions that you're taking or you're not taking, where you're like, fuck, I really am not living up to the version of myself that I saw myself being when I invested in this thing or decided to join this thing, right? Hottub Self says, yes, invest in that coaching offer because she is going to light a fire under your ass and you are going to become the greatest version of yourself. And then your inner imposter says to you, when she actually calls you out on shit, your ego starts to flare up and you start thinking to yourself, does this bitch even know what she's talking about? Like, how dare she say that to me? I'm tired. I'm this. I am that, right? But Hottub Self doesn't account for that. And that is not a bad thing. We need to lean into Hottub Self more because Hottub Self is thinking big picture. Hottub Self is coming from like a clear, excited, abundant place. And if you actually believed Hottub Self over the version of yourself that is tired, is having a hard day, feels like a fraud, and if you actually believed your Hottub self and leaned into her more instead of leaning out from discomfort, you would accomplish so many things so much faster and you would make so much more money because you're not just going off of how you feel that day. You're not just going off of a thought that you had. This is why when people actually plan their quarters or plan out, okay, I am going to sell this offer, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. It's not that the plan is like keeping them accountable. It kind of is, but like you've already decided beforehand. You've already decided I'm going to sell this thing. And where people fuck up is they start believing the thoughts that come up and they start falling victim to how they're feeling right there in the moment. And that is the work that I do all the time with my clients. It's not believing the inner critic when she comes up, but you're just so used to believing her because you have the identity of I'm a fraud, I'm not good enough, I don't know what I'm doing. Here's all the evidence that like I haven't accomplished the things I've wanted to accomplish, instead of believing your hot tub self and believing that there is more for me out there. And in order to become that version of me that fulfills the hot tub self version of me, I have to change something in my everyday. I have to change the way that I am behaving in my everyday. I have to change the way that I'm responding to the stimulus. This stimulus being when you're tired, but you told yourself, I was going to do an Instagram story at this time. The stimulus being if you see somebody on the explore page and you're comparing yourself, right? To fulfill hot tub self, you have to make changes in your everyday self, or your dreams are not going to leave the hot tub. The things that you want to do are never going to leave the hot tub, the sauna, your journal, whatever it is, unless you learn to actually step into hot tub self, sauna self, journal self. Can you tell I have a hot tub and a sauna? Not my house. And soon, you guys, I'm going to be in that pool. When you are listening to this, I am going to be floating in my pool with my coffee in hand, living my best fucking life because we are opening the fucking pool soon and I'm so excited. Okay. But as I was saying, hot tub self, journal self, sauna self will never actually leave that place until you actually start to make changes in your mundane, in your everyday. Deciding like, I'm going to do this thing, even though I'm tired. I'm not going to believe just every thought that pops into my head when I want to do this, when I want to do that. This is how you rewire your brain. It is responding differently to the stimulus. Again, the stimulus being like talking about your business with your friends or your family and somebody being like, is that a scam? And not defaulting to, let's just change the topic, blah, 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 blah. Or seeing somebody online, going onto the explore page and seeing somebody and noticing that your default is to start comparing to her and start being like, well, if she's got this covered, why would anybody hire me? And recognizing that and stepping back into how am I different? How am I actually the best fit for somebody because of what I do, because of my story, because of how I do it? That is the rewiring. And we do a lot of subconscious work in my offers, in my one-to-one offers, in the From Imposter to Empowered program. But there is also a rewiring process that happens in your everyday with your thoughts. Your thoughts are so important. How you think about yourself and how you see yourself are in those small moments when you can choose to either believe the inner critic, believe the inner imposter, believe something you've always believed, or to lean into hot tub self and be like, okay, but I told myself that I was going to accomplish this year. I told myself that this year was going to be my 6-figure year. And in order to accomplish that, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do that. And the only thing stopping you is becoming the version of yourself that has that. And you bet your ass she's not fucking sitting around feeling bad for herself, calling herself a victim subconsciously and being like, why doesn't anything ever work out for me? Getting all wrapped up in analytics and story views and all of that shit. When you know that when you get into that hot tub, or when you're in your journal, or when you're hanging out on a summer night on your porch and you're having a little drink, or you're having a little mocktail or a coffee, and you're just like thinking about all the possibilities that can come in your life, right? You know that there is more for you out there, but you have to be the version of you that goes after it. Okay. I love you guys so much. If you want to join the Iconic Coach, we start tomorrow. It is $555 for a 6-week program. It's going to be fucking incredible. And as always, you know that the From Imposter to Empowered program is open. If you want to sign high-ticket clients, if you want to overcome the imposter syndrome that is holding you back from being that best version of yourself and having the business that you know is meant for you, you need to join us. Okay. I love you so much. I'll see you next week. Hey babe, thank you so much for listening to this episode. Screenshot it and put it on your stories and tag me at your coach Jill. And if you really love me, you'll rate and review the podcast. And if you screenshot it before you submit the review and send it to me, I will send you a free gift on me. If you want to take this work deeper, come and work with me in the From Imposter to Empowered program or the Real Deal Mastermind. And finally, if you want just a snippet of my work to feel what it's like to be in my world, then you need to buy my best-selling book, You're Not Special, and you can get that on Amazon. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you next week.